Hi, I'm Miranda Jones, Executive Director of the Galion-Crestline Chamber. With us today, Jesse Ferner, Executive Director of the Bucyrus Chamber, and Gary Frankhouse, Executive Director of the Crawford Partnership. Today is about collaboration between the chambers, the economic development, and the local resources of banks and accountants in our county. While the COVID-19 has brought us together, we work through this as a county. Our chambers and economic development offices are working with our banks and our lenders, as well as other accounting firms in our county to get you the answers that you need. With us is Jesse. Jesse, go ahead.
Hello. As your representative for Bucyrus area businesses, I can serve as a resource hub, but I urge all of you to contact the real experts, your local accountants and banking institutions with questions that you still have after this webinar. And next we have Gary.
So I want to thank both Miranda and Jesse for this really, I think, unique opportunity to be a part of this synergistic, this collaborative effort. And I think it's really important to focus on that right now because it's really about business and industry. And all three of our organizations want to show you that unified message that we're in this together for all of you. We realize the importance that you represent to our county. And I just want to thank Miranda and Jesse for teaming up with me as well to share that message. I can't think of a better way for our county to grow as we go forward. I believed for a long time that none of us are competing against one another. Our efforts have to be collaborative. And for us to make a difference in our state and in our country, I think the more we row together, I like that analogy of all of us being in the boat rowing together, that's how we're really going to succeed. So thank you guys for being a part of it. I also wanted to take a second just to recognize our medical professionals, our first responders, police, fire, EMTs, because they are doing the hard work. These are unique times. They're not unprecedented. We've been through this before and we've won and we will again, but they are out there in front of all this, providing that assistance for those that are sick. And I know and feel in my heart that they're in it for us and I want to recognize their efforts. So thanks to all of you. So I've been studying this quite a while. 2 weeks ago, come this Friday, the Senate bill came out with their first version, which did change, but I spent time reading it over that weekend and I was pretty excited about it. And I want to take my executive director hat off for a minute because I'm really just one of you, a business owner as well. And I will say that when I've heard the terms SBA in the past, it scared me. It seemed like a big lift. It was a big lift from my experience. But I can also tell you that having done that couple weeks of research, guys, this is different. It really is different. And this is really important. You need to reach out to your accountants, to your banks, and you need to take advantage of this because it's really designed because it is unique times. This is not an economic downturn. This is a unique situation that has created an economic downturn, but if we can get through it, there is a lot of opportunity. And I think our country gets that too. I think it's going to open up different companies to start re-establishing operations in our country. And that's good for all of us. So with that having been said, please look into this. It's really important. It's designed to keep your people employed. It's designed to keep withholdings happening. Potentially money going to our local governments that are going to desperately need this. They need us to keep people employed. It's important. And as I said, we're in it together. So with that having been said, there's really two focuses I want to make today. After the Senate bill came out, then there came out the House of Representatives 748, which changed it a little bit, not dramatically, but quite honestly, I think it changed it for the better and from a realistic standpoint from a business angle. And that was signed into law. And the two sections are the payroll protection program, which I refer to as 1102. And then there's the forgiveness piece, which is the 1106. And I want you to keep in mind that there's those two sections because you got to take step one. You got to determine what your loan is. But you've got to keep in mind that ultimately there's a forgiveness component that makes this what I think one of the most valuable offerings out there for business. But like a tax return, most of you know that if you truly do your taxes right, the day you go to file them, you're not getting any money and you're not paying any money. And that ties back to that old investment idea. Do you want $1 today or tomorrow? You want it today so you can invest it, make the most. All those things play into this, and this is no different. So what you're going to do is you're going to figure out what your monthly average payroll is. And you can do that by looking back at the last 12 months because you're going to assume you're going to apply for this loan today and you're going to get it. So you're going to look back from March of 19 through the March of 20, your most recent payroll. Figure out what your average payroll is. Then what you're going to do is you're going to multiply that times 2.5. And that's going to create your maximum loan. Now, on the forgiveness side, they're only going to forgive 8 weeks, which when you think about it is 2 months. So you got 2.5 months of a loan, but you're going to be forgiven 2 months. And you may scratch your head and say, well, wait a minute, what's wrong with that? Well, there's nothing wrong with it. That's intentional because you can also be forgiven a few other items. One of those items is mortgage interest or rent payments. The next one is utilities. And then the third one that I don't want people to forget is those employer costs. Maybe it's the healthcare that you match for your employee, or maybe it's a contribution to their retirement. Those are employer costs. Those are not in your federal gross numbers. So you need to capture those. And that's important because that's going to add to the payroll, the 8 weeks that can be forgiven, and then move you to that maximum loan that you're able to get. So I don't want you to miss out on those additional costs. And I want you to maximize the loan as much as you can, because if you do that, in the end, you're going to get a check that you're going to then use to make that payroll. It's going to pay those utilities. It's going to pay that rent. It's going to pay your employer costs to keep people employed. And it should be status quo. And then in a month to 2 months, when we come out of this thing, everybody's held whole. Our governments have their deferrals and they're still operating as is. Your business is still operating as is. Your cash flow is not affected. So this is a great opportunity. Take this opportunity to explore it, investigate a little bit. Hopefully that little background helped. Talk to your accountant, talk to your bank. And if you do that, I think on the side, it's going to be a bright future for Crawford County in this country.
Awesome. Thank you, Gary, for that explanation. And just remember that these are things that are very important, and it's just great to have extra resources around you and great explanations for that. So again, thank you, Gary. Jesse, do you have anything to add?
I just wanted to mention that we are going to attach the actual application right from the U.S. Department of Treasury, as well as the guidelines that they have released, and also links to your local resources, which is the Bucyrus Area Chamber, the Galion-Crestline Chamber, and the Crawford Partnership. Please reach out to us with any questions, and we will guide you to the experts. Thank you.
Awesome. And remember that on behalf of the chambers and the partnerships, we're all here for you. We're stronger together. And then also April 3rd, which is today, is the day that the SBA is opening up these PPP loans. So reach out to your local lenders. They'll have the information for you. Make sure that you are up to date on their hours of operations. Some of them are extending their hours. They'll have extra weekend hours, but those are specific per lender. So look up their website online, call your lender specifically, because you don't want to miss out on these funds. I know $349 billion sounds like a lot, but you're talking about every small business in the country. So those funds are going to go fast and you don't want to miss this opportunity. Thank you. We appreciate it. And we are glad to be a resource for you, for this county. And remember, we're stronger together.